Hello, welcome to the Reframing Mindset podcast. We are clear my head of the thoughts that are preventing clarity to practice my speech, among other things. Episodes range from informative knowledge to funny stories about my experiences, and in the future, maybe include interviews. So subscribe and enjoy. Episodes drop every other day.
Okay, so welcome back to Reframe Mindset Podcast. My name is Colin Smith Brooks. So, as you know, the Reframe Mindset Podcast, is either partly informative knowledge and or funny stories about my experiences. So, we have to, one just came to me, so, I have to tell it, for the fans. Yeah, but, this is another fitness episode, where I got finessed again by a girl. And this time, is uh is I guess I'll tell the story and then over time you'll know from the title, but I guess I'll tell the story and then you will see how it end up. So boom. So back to being in the university now. So while I was in the university, we had it was so it was in my third year, And during this time, we have about, I guess, 70 of us that made it in the third year. That would technically be our final year, around 70 to 80 of us that made it in doing my degree, which was biochemistry. So we had all of us. We usually have this WhatsApp group with many of us, a good amount of us that actually had WhatsApp or whatnot to share information to know when labs are due or when tests due or any updates, any updates or stuff like that. So we had a WhatsApp group. So one I rarely ever use the WhatsApp group, and no, so the WhatsApp group was made in our second year. During our second year, we had a lot more because when I reached third year, the class kind of split up. So we had when in third year you either do biochemistry, which is you're doing a biochemistry degree, you're either doing biotechnology degree or the molecular biology degree. So you will split up. So for say either doing in third year, either doing one of those degrees, or you failed a course in second year and have to do second year over. So that was one of the four results that you end up doing when you actually end second year. And I made it to third year, no fails or not, but I was doing biochemistry. Some of my friends are people I know during that class was doing other biotechnology or other degrees. But we had the WhatsApp group, so we were in there most of us. But we made a new WhatsApp group, but the general one was there. So well, now we're coming to the end of the year now. End of the year of my that would technically be my last year. And I was never real active during the lectures, and I went sometime and stuff like that. But you would really know of me. You'd know me the most, unless you live on my dorm. The only chance you get to know me was during labs, cause I had to actually go to every single lab. You couldn't miss a lab. So I actually go to the lab and we had to work in groups and such like that. So you'd know me from there. But other from that, I went to lectures sometimes, and most time I either sit by myself. I sit with some people that I knew from high school. So if you didn't know from high school, there's a little chance you'll know me. But one day now, I got this message from one of the girls that was in my doing biochemistry with me, and she was messaged me and then said she thought I knew we knew of each other due due to the labs, so we see each other, talk to each other, and stuff like that. And I think we were in the same group also. So because of that, when she messaged me now, I kind of knew that she know me. I said, okay. She private messaged me and said, okay. So I know she knows me and stuff like that. So she was just texting me and we were texting each other and stuff like that. Then she said, okay, what were you doing X day? I said nothing. So I said, "Oh, can you come over to my dorm?" Which was one of the new hall residents. And if it's out, it's, if you listen to one of the early episodes, you know that the new hall residents were pretty expensive, and I almost went on it, thought thinking that it was the cheapest, you know. But luckily for me, I never actually went there. But this girl said, okay, you can meet me over there this day and such, and we can continue the conversation and thing. So me now thinking it was a move, she was just showing me the vibe and said, oh, Zane, it was unexpected, but I said, you know what? Why not? And why not? So the day come now. The day the day come, and I actually went over there. And then, if you know how the dorm work is that you have to be signed in. There's a gate and there's a security. You have to be signed in by the person that is inviting you over. So boom, I got signed in. After I got signed in now, see her, looking nice and all. And then she just start to lead me to our so it's multiple um floors. So she was leading me to her floor. So we're in the elevator and thing, taking my time following her and such. And then here I was thinking that she was leading me to her room, but no, she told me there was a common area, so she lead me to the common area and say, okay, sit there. So I sit there now, and then sitting there and waiting, I was like, okay, and then I see some of our friends in our flat, in our on our floor, our friends, and our friends saw me, and then she just started laugh and stuff. And I was like, oh, you got one now? And I said, oh God, but I never knew what it was, but I have to just play it off. And then she just said, okay, I need to borrow the TV and such and such. So she stopped. So they leave now, and then she just start, plugging in this flash drive, setting up some stuff, and then lo and behold, is this, and the university there was this great scheme, let's call it a scheme called, World Ventures. It was this ponzi scheme. I could not up to I call it a ponzi scheme, but to the people that were in it, it was real to them. It was pretty real. So I can never really tell if it worked out for them or not, but I could not believe it that I got tricked into to come into one of these Ponzi scheme meeting, and the rest of the time was she just basically coming on turning on her PowerPoint, presenting me the opportunity of investing into her World Ventures business, and I could travel and do whatever, and then if I do this and invite other people, I can. And I could not. I was genuinely shocked because I never expect someone doing science to actually be caught up in, well, what, let's not say that, because someone else doing science that I knew actually got caught up in it, I can't say, but when I saw it was she that actually was caught up, and then but she is fully bought in to it, because when she was explaining it to me, she said that okay, she got some money and buy a ticket, so she's going to travel to X and Y. So she unlike the other person that I knew, she was showing me some sort of proof that it's working for her. But I still never bought the idea of World Ventures. And I still never bought the idea. But seeing the girl actually getting played, I was thinking it was going to be something else, and I end up getting played like this, man. And I had to just sit there, and from I saw the World Venture thing, I know that I wasn't into it, but I I could have come to I could have let her down easy, I had to just play like I was the interest, and I was like, I can't believe this, I can't believe this. But eventually she said, okay, if I'm interested I should message her and stuff like that. And then from there I left and I said, bro, I can't believe it. This was my and I think this was but if you listen to the podcast, you know that after I finished my third year, I actually failed 3 courses, due to because my third year I was pretty invested into parties and gaming, and less on studying. So I actually had to come back for summer school. But looking back to it, if I actually didn't fail, that technically would basically be the last girl, the last by university closure to me dealing with woman. And it's like that would be basically a big L. A big L in my book. That would basically close off to be a big L in my book in terms of getting finessed in that way, getting tricked into a Ponzi scheme invitation. But, as I said, bro, it's a male thing, We always get woman is our weakness, Woman is our weakness. But gladly, I never, after that moment, I never really contact with her again. So I could never really tell if the World Venture thing worked for her. But, hopefully I hope she's doing something better. And I hope she's doing something better. But, that was a day, man. That was a day, Yeah, so that's it for this episode, And, look forward for the next episode.
Well, this is the end of the episode. Thanks for watching and look forward for the next episode. To support this podcast, go to anchor.fm/cssb/support or become a sponsor for this episode. If you have a product that you want to have more exposure, DM me on the Instagram page, Reframing Mindset Podcast, or on Twitter @ReframingP. Either way would help. Thank you regardless for listening, and here's a preview for the next episode.
Sporting events and some other things during the night and such like that. So when I went there and stuff, we had water, and then not only that, the bathroom. When I actually went in the bathroom, if you look at the top of the ceiling of where the shower was, it was filled like it was the top of the ceiling was white, and you could basically see like pure blackness of mosquitoes. It was the first time I've ever seen so many mosquitoes in one place. It was scary as hell. It was yo, that was the scariest. And I think the reason for that was so when I went on the dorm, we have different housing, and each one of those housing called a